Good evening, this is a meeting of the Hampden Selectboard and Board of Health being held at Townhouse Auditorium, November 25th, 2024. This meeting is being conducted in person and remotely using video conferencing technology. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Is anyone recording the meeting other than ourselves? Oh, I see no one. Must be taking a Thanksgiving holiday. Kristen. All right, any minutes?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay. The first item on our agenda is a continuation of a petition by National Grid for pole positions on Chapin Road. So, where did we leave off? Was someone on there from Grid?
Lisa.
Lisa's on there. You want to unmute her? All right.
Hi, folks.
Hi, how are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you? I believe is Reardon also on the call?
No.
No.
Okay. He was planning to join. Just getting back to the double polls, I did send in the list that we had to kind of compare for. I know that I've had a lot of information from you folks. They were sporadic places as well. And also, I spoke to Nyani a couple times. She said she's been trying to reach out to have conversation with you about that, but she has not heard back in regards to that, but would like to, continue to try to, reach out and talk to you about the double poll issue.
Well, you sent us like 5 or 6 of them, but they weren't the Allen Street ones, so I don't know what's going on there. I mean, Allen Street.
Okay, Allen Street was not on that list, I'm sorry.
No, you sent us 5, I think.
Yeah, well, actually, there were 5 that were under National Grid's name. And when I looked into that, when I spoke with the foreman, he went out to take a look at them. A couple of those polls had not been, I think that they were incorrect, the ones that were under National Grid. I say 5 because I know that 5 were under, were kind of like ball in court for us. And our foreman did go out and take a look at them, but either the poles had not been replaced or there wasn't anything for us to do with them. They were, it sounds to me like they were incorrect. But the other ones were either in Charter or Verizon. And so, and there was a bit of a list. It was longer than that. I don't know if I can look it up right now.
Probably close to 100.
You think that there's close to 100?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I got just 42 on Allen Street alone.
Okay.
That were done in March. So the 90 days is long gone by.
Sure. So 90 days, that's just Allen Street.
Yeah.
And you said that you think that there's close to 100 poles?
There was 42 on Allen Street alone.
42 on Allen.
There's 3 on the street where I live. And there's
10 on Chapin.
10 on Chapin.
3 on North.
I did
3
10
on,
10 on Chapin?
yeah, 3 on North Road. Anybody else want to weigh in? I guess the issue with this is, don't misunderstand. I know this is a statewide issue. It's a real problem across the state. And the ones on Allen Street and Chapin Road are really dangerous and they need to be taken care of. And I know that Verizon has a piece of it. And I know that Charter has a piece of it. And, the engines is system, we need to at least know that you, according to the letter sent by Mark Marini, by Ashley Berger, who was with the attorneys of the law firm Rich and May, say, as a joint pole owner, National Grid remains party responsible for creating the double pole tickets and transferring the notifications in the engines. So we need you to make sure that Verizon and Charter have been notified that those poles are ready to have their wires moved.
Yep,
Okay, in the 1980, I think it was a 2003 DPU agreement, it was agreed that Verizon, that a joint ownership agreement between National Grid and Verizon, one party would take care of the pole replacement, and the other party would remove the pole. Right?
correct.
So
Correct.
that's where we are. So we at least need to know that you've notified Verizon and Charter, and then we can go after Verizon and Charter.
Okay, okay, all right, that, fair enough. I don't think that I left the meeting last week knowing those exact numbers. I know that we talked about a number of them here and a number of them there, and that, all I gathered was that list. And I think if Niani was able to kind of reach you, that I might have been able to, look further into those specific ones. But she will continue to, and I will kind of send this out to the line department themselves and say they show 42 on Allen, 10 on Chapin, and 3 on North.
Yeah, I've got well, I can't bring it up on my screen, but they sent us an Excel spreadsheet with a lot more on it. I can have Brian send it to you.
Okay, that spreadsheet is from whom?
Niani?
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. All right. I thought that ours might have been similar, but I'd like to see that just so we can really compare and make sure that we have them all noted.
Okay. So on to the poll positions. Do we have the map there? Do you have the map, Brian?
Yeah, I can bring it up. I just need 1 second. This is the right one.
Yeah, shares.
Yep.
All right.
Share.
And you talked about voltage the last time, John?
Well, I think part of the reason they were talking about the long span runs lead to a thinner wire. They can upgrade the wire for a better, basically, delivery system going to either a normal house 240 non-delta system, but they need to do it with poles that are closer together to support the heavier wire.
Right.
So we're in a situation here, and Don, I know you made a good point before, this is our chance to kind of hold their feet to the fire, but we have to balance that against the needs of the people on the road to have a more stable service to their house, especially going into winter. I mean, I appreciate it. I think we're seeing here from the grid, this is the best interaction I think Don and you've seen in a while, back and forth and acknowledgement. I am afraid that if we go ahead and grant this, we're going to lose that going forward. But again, I think we have an overriding need to take care of the people on Chapin Road. Craig brought this up, I'm going to say 3 years ago, Craig, with the voltage drop.
Yep.
This is our chance to take care of it. So.
Is that what these new poles are going to do? They're going to allow you to hang heavier gauge wire to supply the proper?
That's correct. What's really driving it was the reliability on Chapin Road, and to order to increase the reliability out there they really need to have a beefed up system out there.
Okay, yeah, because I know I've been in contact with residents at the very end of Chapin. For the last 2 years, they've had on and off issues, brownouts and losing appliances due to low voltage stuff. So if this is a way to remedy that, then it's a step in the right direction.
Right.
All right. Any questions? Anybody got questions? No. Sir?
I'll make a motion to grant the pole permit for the replacement poles on Chapin Road,
Subject to the highway superintendent's requirements.
which he listed in his email.
Okay.
Right.
Second.
Any further discussion? I'm not going to let this go. I just want to let you know that.
No, I wouldn't expect you to.
Oh, he's like a dog on a bone, seriously, this is,
Or on a cookie.
2 in the morning, he'll be emailing you from the treadmill, so don't
I
worry.
do that.
Yes. Yeah.
Drake, I appreciate moving forward with getting this project done, but I also think it's extremely important to follow up on double poles and the safety
There's
issues.
the balance, yeah.
So I
We will.
appreciate you
Okay,
being diligent about that.
all right, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Reluctantly?
Oh, hey.
Well, team player, you know.
Good job.
Okay, thank you.
This is a good.
So you're welcome. I just want to clarify, will you be sending me the email with the information?
Yes, yes,
Okay, thank you very much.
you're my new target.
That's okay.
Okay.
All right, take care.
Fire department, call firefighter.
Evening.
Good evening.
How's it going? Brought Tyler Krakowski from Raymond Drive tonight.
Well, I know what Raymond Drive is.
Put an application in for
Jogs it every day.
be a probationary call firefighter with Hampton Fire Department. Discuss all our minimum requirements required for the position. Last thing is to bring him in front of the board. You can ask any questions before approval. He is interested in becoming a career firefighter at some point in his life.
So this is for probationary firefighters?
Yes.
Why?
Couple reasons. Definitely want to be a good role model for my family members that look up to me. Definitely want to help out the community, give back. I've lived here for a while and been treated well all my life, so I want to give back to the community. Definitely want to learn some life-saving capabilities that will come in handy one day in my life. Those are a couple. Just very rewarding job to have. Feel like you're providing for people, and yeah, those are a couple reasons.
What do you do during the day?
What do I do during my day?
Right. You're 20, you must have,
I have a full-time job. I work at a factory. It's just like machines that make boxes. I work out.
Mount Tom? No.
Huh?
Mount Tom, no.
Mount
Trying to think, no, Mount Tom box, I'm trying to think. of the local
Oh,
box.
boxing, no. I train at a Fighting Arts Academy in Springfield. Yeah. And then I train at Snap Fitness. Play guitar, walk my dogs.
So you're pretty available for.
Yeah,
as they need.
yes.
Right.
Definitely.
You can do some boxing with the chief, but he's.
The chief,
They use a little, set a little ring out there.
the chief still got his old moves.
Oh, yeah.
Any questions?
I have no questions.
Think about
I hate to beat you up so much, but I think we're gonna pass you on.
Okay.
I'll make a
Thank you,
motion to approve Tyler Gragowski.
Grigowski, yeah. First try,
Roll
wow.
up, call firefighter on a probationary basis, subject to all regulations.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you, chief.
I'm just saying, while the chief is here, do you want to take the generator thing while he's here, or you don't care?
No,
Okay.
get down on it. Tax work-off program.
Hello,
Hello.
how are you?
Good.
I'm here to ask for your approval of the tax work-off program for the 2025 calendar year, keeping it at 14 positions with a $2,000 abatement,
As recommended by the assessor.
as recommended by the assessors.
You have a lot of, any new roles or just same?
I don't think we have had any requests from departments for new roles. I can put out the Zoom operator again if you're, okay, Brian says yes to that. The police department, senior center, library are all pretty standard, but the town hall Zoom operator was on there last year. We just didn't find someone who could meet the qualifications.
qualifications are pretty minimal.
Were all of them filled last time? Were all 14 filled the last time?
This year, yes.
Yeah,
Yes, they were.
that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Until Laura left, or,
And how many hours is it normally they do?
So it's 120 12,
What if we pay them $1 an
I
hour?
believe, $1 an hour, yeah.
Wow, you're going back in your day.
Yeah, 2,000 hours. Yeah, I think it's about 110 or 112 this year, maybe even 105. We go on the minimum wage.
Yeah, of course. All right,
Make a motion to approve the request for tax workout program.
Second.
any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Don't go away, you have to get your liquor license too.
Thank you.
So they're doing postcards for 2 hours or something?
That's what they do.
They're
While
doing
drinking- while
holiday,
drinking.
they're doing holiday postcards while drinking for 2 hours, okay?
That's what we do.
I'd like to see some samples.
Need some entertainment while you're
What?
making postcards, you know?
Yeah,
You need permission for that?
good times. Make a motion to approve the request for a one-day liquor license for the Scannick River Artisans on December 12th from 6 to 8.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, sign that.
Ooh, select board, nice.
Yeah, got select board out there
Yeah,
now.
really. It's the first
I thought it
license
was
by the.
changed on the website already.
Even though it's technically not
Thank you very
official.
much.
Oh, okay.
Somewhat part of it.
That's you're getting the first license from the select board.
Couldn't find the
That's
agenda.
right, this is like,
I'll frame it.
Yeah, right.
this is like, yeah, something to frame, this is like 100 years from now.
Like the Declaration of Independence, same thing.
I'll keep it. I'll laminate it.
You keep a copy of this, or should I just give it to her?
I usually make a copy, but you can give it to her.
I can give you a copy of this historic. Thank you so much.
You know, that's only good on that day, you can't like just use it anytime because you got the permit now.
Right, I know, on this side.
Okay.
I got it.
All right.
70th one this year, but that's fine.
Gotta keep track of everybody. Okay,
Okay, here's the financial team. Look at these guys.
look at these guys.
Storming in.
Let's do the financial review first. Come on up.
Everybody's favorite subject, taxes.
Taxes. What else we got here?
Take a look.
Howdy-ho.
You want me to go over the information I sent out? Or do we,
We have it here? We have-
it sent out emails last Thursday?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's just do it for public record, yeah.
It's in the back.
Vote.
So to give an idea of where we are for 25 as far as the tax base go, with all the appropriations we made minus the estimated revenue amount we need to raise in taxes, what we need to raise in taxes went from $13,743,389.24 to $14,451,606.25, or an increase in spending of $708,217. Fortunately, we have income from new growth for 2025 of $469,880. If we did nothing else, after applying the free cash we did at town meeting, we'd be looking at a 1.68% tax increase. We did, however, authorize $3.5 million for the water project. In order to pay for the water project, we also transferred $650,000 from stabilization. We anticipate a grant of $1 million. I don't know if there's any
Got it.
update. We got the documentation, okay.
Yeah, I'm just contracting now.
So that leaves a balance of $1.85 million that we can use a combination of borrowing and raising on the tax rate. If we were to borrow 1.375 and put $475,000 on the FY25 tax rate, we'd be looking at a tax increase between 5.02 and 5.19%. If we were to borrow 1.4 million and put 450,000 on the FY tax rate, we'd be looking at an increase in taxes of 4.84 to 5%. Couple of notes, I understand there's $275,000 in ARPA money but that really doesn't affect this part of the discussion. The total project cost, according to Brian's earlier spreadsheets, is actually about $91,000 more than we voted, and the ARPA money will get spent first. The real amount we actually borrow depends on how much we spend as we get towards the end of the year. So if the project comes in under, obviously we'd be borrowing less. Also, these are estimates, and my understanding is that the residential values rose more than commercial and personal property taxes. This means that there will be a tax burden shift slightly more to residential. I think Kelly said that we're talking like about a 10% increase on residential properties. You know, and all those agreements we have, like the solar on PP, they're only 2 or 2.5% increases every year. So we get a little bit more shift toward residential.
Now, the borrowing we're talking about, the 1,375 or the 1,4 that you were saying there, is that the short term just to satisfy the project as it's going on?
Yeah, yes, exactly. There's what they call state house notes. They're guaranteed by the state, so they're bid. So, you know, the banks will bid on them. I can usually get 3 or 4 people to bid on them. And they're less than a year, or a year or less, I should say. I've been told by the financial advisors that I've been talking to that I ought to wait as late in the year as possible, that the rates will probably be going down. So I'd be probably looking to shop this in May, you know, and buy something in June to just buy exactly what we need. And they're renewable every year. It's possible if we're, you know, if things continue to go well, that we could get this taken care of in, 3 years maybe. It'd be nice. Because I know we have a lot of large capital stuff coming down the road. I'd like to get this out of the way and clean our short-term.
You think we'd be free and clear in 3 years from it?
Show me what the free cash and the new growth will be, and yeah, that's aggressive.
Yeah.
You know, that's talking about putting $500,000 a year on.
But we also want to get away from the testing costs.
Exactly, right.
Yeah,
Which are gonna go up anyway.
Yeah, we're saving at least $100,000 a year there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's gonna pay the interest on this at least, if not a lot of the principal.
So the thinking was to be fairly aggressive with this construction and try to expedite it as best as can be. The cost isn't going down,
Right.
the burden is not going to be lessened. Matter of fact, let's hope it stays the way it is, frankly. And we know that we've got these other big projects coming, so let's get this one in the chute and out, done.
Off the books as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
Okay. And what are your scenarios there? Why $25,000 difference? Was that really gonna make or break anything?
No, it's not, exactly not. And so my original one was the more aggressive one.
Okay.
But I know that there was conversations that I guess we could handle 5%.
Okay.
And when I started looking at, you know, the numbers that are a little bit loose, if I came up with 5.2, Don would yell at me. So I wanted to give an alternative.
Okay, I got you.
So the function here, so we're actually doing all of the purpose of the tax rate. The function is because the borrowing was approved by the town meeting, it gives the treasurer authorization to borrow with cooperation of the selectmen. So the 4 of us are the ones that get to decide how much we borrow.
Right.
So when you mentioned about the ARPA money being like, I want to say your contingency fee, if you will.
Yeah.
You know, you're 91 over, but there is 200 plus in ARPA, so I can take care of that. Craig had a meeting today, and there's a danger of that because there's certain code changes from the state. Maybe the bid might be a little higher than we had hoped for, something like that. So maybe that'll factor in. But it does need to be committed by December 31st.
I understand that.
So,
I understand that. You know, but so like, yes, we end up with $125,000 or something like that contingency. And I'm hoping that we'll come in nice and low because
people need work, maybe.
Maybe we got real lucky the last water project. We had a very efficient.
Get it right in. I will echo, I would like to see it under 5. I'm saying we've, obviously, the values have changed. This doesn't reflect what the tax bill is going to be per se. But we've seen, say minimal increase, but certainly nothing like a 5% increase in the past couple of years. So
And that's not because we haven't been spending the money.
I know
It's
that.
because we've been
I see the
having,
checks. I mean, we order new checks for you every week.
it's because of the new growth numbers.
Being low.
Ironically, a lot of that is the solar stuff. When I run the top 10 taxpayers, 5 of them are solar farms and 3 more are other utility companies.
Well, you're gonna see an increase from Amoresco. They're gonna flip the switch, which will trigger the
That's another
second
50,
payment.
yeah.
$70,000 a year. Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, like I said, I realize that the solar thing is controversial, but right now it's helping us pay for water, you know, so. So if the consensus, if the other two of you agree that you'd like to not go over that 5% number, then should the consensus be that we should be borrowing 1.4 million?
I think,
I'm good with that.
you know, there's a possibility things can be done in the future years to help you with that. When do you think the assessors are gonna be close to, have they gotten back, what is the LA one gets
The
comes
tax
back?
classification hearing is next Monday.
Right, but I mean, are they close to their final numbers, they think?
Yeah, certified.
Yeah,
Okay.
they should have that. That's, she kind of needed to know this before she finished that up, so this is the last piece of the puzzle.
And I saw Phil in today, it seemed like they were massaging a little bit.
So if we do the 1.4, does that put us in line with where you're hoping?
Yeah,
We can still get there?
it's close enough, like I said, you know, it might take 3 more years, and maybe we'll get lucky and we'll find a windfall, who knows?
They're big. Keep asking for grants. Okay.
Okay.
Cost of a stamp, that's all it takes.
Is this commitment we have on the million, is that a?
We have the contract, right? Do you have the contract on the million?
It's not signed, but I have it, yeah. We have the award letter, yes.
We got the award letter, so.
They wrote it down.
I wrote it down.
Better
They
than
would-
promise.
They would never
Sidewalks.
neg.
No, of course not.
Like
All
a
right,
cherry sheet going down, never happens.
And just because John always wants to know this stuff, because the valuations also went up, I'm going to guess for a 1524 tax rate, but that's my guess. You can take the over under, see how I do. So the rate goes down at least. And compared to a lot of other communities,
the rate goes down, but of course, because the evaluation.
valuations go up, absolutely.
But in terms of the overall, the state cap on the rate, we are so far under the state cap, as opposed to like over here in Long Meadow, we have all the capacity in the world.
Yeah.
Not that we want to get there.
Oh, you don't want to get the 25
There's
or
a reason
15,
why we have that capacity.
right?
And, you know, even with this, I expect, you know, yeah, I expect an excess levy capacity of still over 1.1 mil.
Right.
So,
How much?
1.1 mil. So we're in pretty nice shape.
Right. And the transfer brought the stabilization down to,
We were just hit, I'm about to hit 1.9 and we took out 6.5.
213, okay.
Yeah, so,
Well, that'll keep us at cookies.
No, don't be saying that. Let's be clear. The board doesn't, the town does not pay for the cookies. Don, for crying out loud.
He does.
Are they under the?
Thinking like, looking over our books.
$4.99 right there.
Meet the gift limit.
Great,
anything else?
that's it. We're good. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming in.
Thank you.
Are you coming next week for the hearing or no?
I don't think so, they're pretty boring.
All right, the other part of this is a town meeting recap.
Yeah, I mentioned to Rick if he wanted to come.
Yeah, and I just want to start the discussion about this. A couple of things I heard back is that people were interested in Well, I'm interested in having, setting up a process for opening and closing the town meeting warrant when it comes to citizens petition. A lot of towns have a drop dead date that they have to get in, and and they have instructions. I made some copies of it. I'll give it to Lauren to have her send to you guys, take a look at it from, next time we're meeting after. Getting a warrant, I recall, I may be wrong, but I recall we used to get the green sheets in advance in the mail or in the reminder,
It used to come in the Times.
in the Times, right? And I'd like to go back to that if we
If we
could.
can, it's like getting the town report done back in January instead of like May.
Yeah, I think.
I don't want, Don, if it's, we're trying to be too nice, to give too much latitude to people, maybe we need to be enforcing a little more hard
I think so.
limits. But it also gets back to, right now's the time, we haven't scheduled the State Union.
I know,
So that should be the week after tax rate. Yeah.
I heard green sheets.
Yeah,
Yeah, what's up with your clerical staff?
Yeah,
Seriously.
yeah, well, I'll speak with them as soon as we're done here.
I was, we used to get
Sitting in the same chair.
them in the Times and that stuff. Did we stop that because of expense?
Be mailed.
Yeah. Did we stop that because of expense or
Well, then we went to the Times.
Right. Last
Only
couple of
the green
days?
sheets for the annual meeting,
Right.
and they were in the Times for this past annual meeting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, they were, yeah.
We've never done green sheets for special town meetings.
I was just wondering if maybe we need to now because we have so many items on there all the time.
Well, the issue with the green sheet is the timing. Now, our public hearing can be no sooner than 7 days before the town meeting.
Right.
So we don't vote our recommendations. At the earliest is right after the public hearing. We very often defer until immediately before town meeting because some of the issues are still evolving between the public hearing and the town meeting. So, to get anything out, produce something and have it distributed, whether it's in the Times or mailed or whatever, it just isn't feasible because of the windows that we're working with.
So now we're relying more maybe on digital and maybe in the post office or here for pickup.
Yeah, some of the fear I got back is that people would have liked to see the explanation and seen the recommendations prior to the town meeting, so.
Well, that's why we had the advisory hearing, but.
Right, I mean, ideally, that would be the case.
Yeah.
But, it's a combination of the timing that we have to work with and the fact that the big issues are still evolving.
You had it on the
And
website, right?
and it's been that way for as long as I've been involved.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't remember, a town meeting that we didn't have some last minute adjustments, in at least a couple of the articles.
Well, that's the whole reason why we pushed the town meeting, what was it, 3 weeks? So we'd have more of a chance to get the school number to be more accurate.
Yeah,
You
the
know, and
school
that-
district had asked us to push back our town meeting, so that would give them more time, because they have the requirement to have to
In
make
March,
their
yeah.
assessment 45 days.
We would
in
actually see
advance.
the State House budget prior to.
And so, we were trying to buy them time,
Yeah.
push our time back, which was fine. I mean, it doesn't affect, our governance. But it's the crunch. It's that crunch, as it gets to be time for public hearing and meeting. And we've tried in past years to put a firm close date on any of the changes. It just isn't practical. It just doesn't work,
So Brian did have it on the website this year, available to anybody
which was good.
For the special.
for the special. So I mean, we'll continue doing that and just maybe make it known that that's the catch-all.
I think online is the best option for dissemination of all of this information. I mean, even putting it in the Times. I mean, there's people who still say, well, I didn't see it.
At some point,
Exactly.
right, yeah.
It gets delivered to every postal address in town.
Sometimes.
And the other thing is,
Supposed to tell you it doesn't come to every address every time.
and we gotta figure a way to be prepared for large unexpected turnouts.
I will say what Brian did for the AV part, best town meeting I've ever seen, in terms of the cutting cameras back and forth.
would
The
agree.
expense certainly was something, and I can't recall, $7,000, $8,000.
$8,000.
But if we could find a cheap way to do the same quality thing, that was
So it worked
the
out
best,
good.
the best participation by the public I think they've ever seen, in terms of like
It
readiness.
was nice,
what they
it was
saw.
nice to not be distracted by the audio issues.
Yeah.
I think maybe we should just budget for that every year because of how flawless it went. Took a lot off our plates,
Right.
you know, and it gave everybody a chance to come in, view it, and hear it. So, I mean, $8,000 for that type of quality for the residents, I think it might be worth it every year, every
That does
time.
go kind of back into your court. I think that it is important also to broadcast the advisory hearing, because that might take some of the questions away before they get there, because they've heard the explanation beforehand. So it's something to consider.
Yeah, my hesitation is the fact that the advisory hearing gets advertised, you know, every time we have one, it's on the board out in front.
And the same 15 people
Papers,
show up.
The same 50 people,
15,
big
15.
15 people that show up. So, and I'm not opposed to it, but I don't want to, you know, have the false sense that it's going to increase participation.
Well, I'm not saying interactive, but I'm saying these are, allow people to view it.
A lot of people go back and watch our
Right.
old meetings on YouTube, so
yeah.
just to have it there as a,
The money we make from the clicks, Doug, you know, all the money we make from clicks, it's incredible.
Oh, yeah. But to Don's point of, you know, how do you prepare for, you know, an unanticipated, you know, overflow?
I think we're gonna,
I think it worked out well the way.
I think it did, but we weren't ready the first time.
No,
But, you know, so we gotta be ready, and I think the turnout at the special town meeting was very encouraging, because there was a lot of, I mean, there's been town meetings that I could sit up at the stage and write the names of the people who are gonna be there before they came in the door, and the time they come in.
you go back to the days when my dad used to have to send people down to the Hampden House and bring people to the town.
I've done that, I've done that too, I've gone to the VFW and gotten some support.
I have been saying the last 2 years, though, that fall town meeting is turning into just another session where we
There's a
need,
lot of young people, so the childcare piece, I think, is big.
Yeah.
And we gotta continue that.
I think the start time worked out well.
Our start time was pretty good too, I think.
Yeah, I think.
6:30 is good.
I think that's helpful to people. Yeah.
and the
I think
childcare help.
electronic voting, I
a
think
lot of
we
people
need to
use the
get the
childcare.
electronic voting in.
Yeah,
John?
electronic voting, I'm still out on that one.
Yeah, well,
I think the letter that you had sent out, Don, about what was in the reminder from the town administrator in Long Meadow, it's home here
yeah,
in this community. And, you know, the struggles that every community
yeah, we all have them.
we do, definitely so. And it's been building all along. So the way government works and how you have to move quickly and everything else, you know, we call it a special town meeting, but that may be more appropriate to call it a fall town meeting, to take care of business.
Here to go.
All right,
Anything else on that?
no.
Other than that, I would-
Other than that, I thought good work by
turnout.
everybody.
Good work by everybody.
I thought the meeting went very well, considering we have a lot of big issues, a lot of participation.
Yeah.
Just one
Yeah.
more thing is that I think everybody worked very hard to try and finalize the numbers, okay? And
Yeah.
before, you know, it was, I think, a goal that we all had to try and get the numbers squared away before.
All we gotta do is just pay the bill.
It's on my desk.
5%, 5%.
Got it down to 5%. That's what you wanted, right?
I came around to 5%. I started lower
You
than that.
did, you did.
After the discussions and looking at the numbers, I ended up at 5% as well.
Okay.
The only way you change that is by stretching out the water thing. But I think Dick's point about what's coming down the road, that just hamstrings you with your future
It
stuff.
would cost us money to stretch the project out.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
All right.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Look at my papers out here.
Wow, I can't believe we're that far ahead of schedule.
Huh?
Can't 15 minutes ahead of schedule here.
15 minutes ahead of schedule. Good. All right. We have Mr. and Mrs. Grissetti. Before we begin this discussion, I want to say that I received a copy of an email today that was sent to Mrs. Grissetti from Attorney Pill, because he was forwarded an email that Mrs. Grissetti had sent to me. Apparently, someone in town, official, forwarded to Mr. Pill, Attorney Pill. His response, I thought, was inappropriate. A citizen has a right to come before the board and discuss anything they want at any time that they want. His lecturing of our town council of how cases should be handled and should be handled was inappropriate. And this is not the first time someone has intervened on Mr. Semino and Mr. Garvey's behalf regarding this case. And it's troubling and it's inappropriate. And I just find it, I'll just say inappropriate again. But his comments to Mrs. Grissetti were inappropriate and uncalled for. And I'm very disturbed that someone is forwarding emails to someone who's an applicant and a plaintiff in a case regarding the town. So that said, I see Attorney Wilson, is it? Correct. Okay. And Attorney Timmy Belcher is here, Mr. and Mrs. Grissetti.
Thank you. So, and I'm Mary Grissetti, and I followed the procedures. I spoke with Brian first, and he told me what the next thing to do would be to speak with the select board. And what we're here tonight to discuss is some inconsistencies that I found when I reviewed both cases and how the planning board submitted their decision. I read through everything on both cases. And the inconsistency is in 2 Summers Road, the Pellegrino case, which you know was approved and the judge stayed with the planning board's approval. A detailed record review was submitted in that case as to why this case was approved by the planning board. Heather Beatty's detailed explanation as to why she believed it didn't belong on the aquifer, and also her detailed explanation as to why it didn't fit the character of the town. She went into aesthetics, she went into extensive reasons why. In the case 2021B, which is the Garvey-Semino case, all that the planning board submitted to the court when they remanded them, now a second time, and said, give us the reasons you're denying this. For Heather Beatty, they submitted 1 paragraph. And Heather Beatty, at the end of a 3-hour meeting, was told, you have to give your reason right now. We have to have it this minute. She asked if she could go back and retype up her notes so she could hand a hard copy like she did in the Pellegrino case. And it was a decision that, no, you have to give it right now after a 3-hour meeting. So Heather begins by saying, based on everything I have argued here today, and to summarize very briefly, and she summarized it very briefly, but she said, based on everything I argued here today. I am not a lawyer, but that tells me there's information in the record that you have to look at. And I've got a copy for each of you to look at. This is a verbatim transcript that I created with Microsoft Word. I just played the video and it gave me the transcript. And if you turn to the second page, you'll see where first of all, I'd like to note for this, before you turn to the second page, on the first page, Heather begins by saying she wants to set the record straight. For the first decision that was submitted to the courts, when the planning board just checked a box that said denied. Heather wanted to correct the record to say, I asked to be part of that decision, and I was told by the chair of the planning board, you may not be involved in writing this decision. And then that decision was moved forward to the court with just a check mark, denied. Both courts sent it back and said, you have to give us reasons, you just can't check that box. So on page 2 of this verbatim transcript, you see where it says water. Heather starts her reasoning there as to why she believes being on top of the aquifer is a danger to the community. And then, and you'll see there's 2 pages of that, and then if you go to the page that says 3619, that's in the, that's 36 minutes into the record. All of that is her detailed reasoning as to why this does not belong in the center of Hampden, why it is addressing, she is addressing the rural character of the town, the aesthetics of the town, what it looks like from Steeple View, what it looks like in the 4 corners, people coming from Summers Road, East Longmeadow, Wilbraham. And if you look at this side by side with what was submitted for the Pellegrino case, it is almost verbatim. And it never got into the decision for the Garvey-Semino case. And also, if you look, and there's no page numbers here, but if you go past all of, you get to the page where it says, this is 3 hours and 1 minute into the video. Discussion on how Heather and Christina's comments will be in the record. They had a lengthy discussion as to what we're saying here, everything we're saying here must get into the record submitted to the judge. And at one point, I'm not sure, I think it was Madison says, well, we'll do a verbatim transcript. None of that was submitted. So that's an inconsistency, and I think it's does not look well on the planning board that in one case, they submit a detailed overview as to why this does not belong, and in a second case that's abutting that property, they give a paragraph. And the judge threw it back and said, you didn't even give a hint as to why this does not belong. And that's it for me.
If I could just expand a little bit, my name is Seth Wilson. I'm counsel for the Grissettis, and I was the attorney of record on the initial hearings, if you may recall or may not. And I've spoken with Attorney Belcher-Timmy, and I understand that these were in different procedural postures, meaning the 2 different cases were addressed in different courts. One was in land court, one was in Superior Court. And so there are procedural differences, but at its base, our primary concern before the board tonight is making sure that the planning board understands that they need to make sure that the decisions that they issue have all of the findings by each of the individual planning board members included in the record, not just in the record, but in the actual written decision. And the concern is that in some of these scenarios, the only document, the only information that the court may look at is that actual written decision, as opposed to in other contexts, the court gets a certified copy of the record, which includes or should include the video, any communications, and any other aspects associated with what the town has received as part of that proceeding. And so it is absolutely imperative that the planning board and any other board, frankly, in town that's making any decisions, and Attorney Belcher-Timmy can advise the town more succinctly because he would be counsel to the town. And I'm not pretending to be counsel to the town. I'm just saying that on behalf of very concerned residents who spent an awful lot of money and effort fighting these as they are entitled to do, fighting these projects, and then to have planning board members or any other town decision maker make a decision and clearly enunciate the reasons for that decision, the justification for that decision, which a judge at some point is going to be reviewing, needs to find its way into the actual decision, the four corners of the paper document that gets filed. It can't be just a paragraph or two that in no way reflects the completeness of the thought that went into this decision by board members, because they put their heart, as you know, you put your heart and souls into the decisions, you take them very seriously, and it's important that your decisions be counted and that every board member's decision gets fully recorded and fully reflected in the decision. Again, this has been a very tumultuous and polarizing decision in this town. My clients, I know, have significant concerns about the fact that this decision was issued and that Heather Beatty was told in the initial decision that it was just going to be a check mark and she was not allowed to reflect her decisions and the reasons for her decisions, and the reason that the judge ordered the planning board to issue the permit that was only recently granted was specifically because the judge found that there was not any reasoning at all, because the only thing that he looked at was that paragraph referencing Heather Beatty's purported reasoning that did not reflect what her reasoning was and didn't reflect the decision and the reasons that she announced publicly for what that decision was. And that is a travesty, because these folks, as well as the board members, all of them, every single board member, and I know that there are some here tonight, their decisions count just as much as everybody else's. Their reasoning counts just as much as everybody else's. And any judge reviewing those decisions needs to be able to look at that record and needs to be able to look at that decision and know exactly why they made their decisions, because that's the only way this town is going to be able to either uphold its approvals or its denials. You folks put way too much of your time and heart and energy and soul, and there's way too much emotion tied to all these things, to waste all of those resources on not clearly enunciating why things happen so that the proper authorities can review it and decide whether it was proper or improper. So I'm not sure if Attorney Belcher-Timmy has something to add, but.
Jesse?
I mean, I'm happy to answer any questions that the board has, or, I mean, basically what Attorney Wilson said is correct. I mean, in these 48 appeals, the decision for the judge is based solely on the decision that the planning board issued. They issued that decision with whatever they put in it. I will say, I think that, I mean, there are a lot of differences between the two cases and how they ended up in front of the judge, and also how they both got remanded back to the planning board. In the case of the land court case, the Garvey one, the original decision by the planning board was nullified and it was set back to issue a completely new decision starting from scratch. In the Superior Court case, it was remanded just to offer a supplemental decision about why each member voted the way they did, which sort of changes the dynamic a little bit. I think that probably the difference in venue, picking land court versus Superior Court, impacted the result a lot, but also, you know, and I'm going to try to be cognizant of the fact that one of these cases is still an active case and there's an appeal pending, so I don't want to speak too much about it, but in the Garvey case in the land court, the judge also based his denial on the aesthetic issue on his own site visit and review of the neighborhood. So, you know, it might have been a tougher call if he had, say, the 16 Summers planning board decision there with it, but a lot of that is it's a very subjective standard, and so a lot of that is based on their own site visit and what they see with their own eyes. So in the case of the Superior Court one, that was on summary judgment, so there was no trial. That judge literally just had the planning board decision and the application materials and felt that there was a compelling reason in the decision. I'm not sure how Judge Smith would have handled that if he had had a more thorough decision, but also had his own view of the property and the neighborhood. So there's a lot of variables there.
Mary, you had a question?
Well, I have a question as to why, and this would be a question that I hope someone's going to raise with the planning board. How is it that they give such a detailed decision for one property, and they give basically nothing for the other? I want to know what's going on there, because something just doesn't seem right. They clearly know what to do, because they did it for one case. Why would they not do it for the second case? That, to me, is a real concern.
Well, and to some extent, and this is again just conversation, but to some extent, I think they're also, you're talking about a supplemental, and Attorney Beltrami, correct me if I'm wrong, you're talking about a supplemental response that was prepared by the planning board after remand from a Superior Court judge requiring they provide their supplemental reasoning. And so it's after the fact, and they have been given a separate opportunity to come through and provide the written decisions. Granted, in this case, the Garvey decision was remanded back from the land court, and there was an opportunity, I believe, that was perhaps missed to ensure that the second decision in the land court case did include a more fulsome summary as part of that written Four Corners decision. Attorney Beltrami, can you correct me if I'm wrong? I want to try to help my client understand the distinction, because I think my client's concern is that it appears to my clients as if there was a different rationale or a different approach for two different proceedings in terms of the way it was handled in the course of the proceedings. And my sense is that we're actually talking apples and oranges. But I think that it's important that the planning board going forward be consistent in their decisions at the initial stage, right? I can understand that there are differences here, or there may be differences here in the record and the level of detail, because there were different stages that ended up taking place in these two different cases, albeit dealing with essentially the same property. It's a very unique circumstance. And so there really is, I think, a distinction here, but it's, I think, an important distinction for the town going forward, is to look and perhaps have the boards get counsel in particularly difficult cases, have town council at least provide them with guidance about what requirements there are for their decisions and for their written product to be at the end of the process, so that they make sure that they include the information that they're required to have for the judges to be able to make their decisions. Is that a...
So, I mean, I can tell you that I gave, in both cases, we gave guidance to the board. I mean, my guidance would be to list all the reasons that you want. And I'm not sure what the process was for drafting either decision after the hearings. I noticed just today, actually, when I was preparing it, that Ms. Broder, who also voted no, she's got a verbatim that it's identical from one decision to the other. So I'm not sure how, where that,
And that's where my client's concern is coming from.
Right.
It's because there's a significant distinction that is material and potentially resulted. I understand that the land court was able to make its own view and make its own independent determination. But we have a very discrepant difference between the written product in one and the written product in the other. And again, because it was a very acrimonious process that raises questions in my client's minds and raises concerns in the residents' minds. And our goal is to avoid that.
Yeah, I think really the different footing that they both came back on is probably the reason for the different length of the decision.
I suspect that's correct.
So, I mean, the instructions in the Superior Court is your votes have not changed. Provide an explanation for why you voted the way you did before. Paraphrasing. In the land court, it was go back and vote on this again. And so going into it, either as council or as any of the board members, you don't really know how that vote's going to shake out the second time, right? I mean, there's always this live vote component. And so I think that may have also shaped some of this, but this is all sort of internal.
Right, but except, Heather Beatty, we know from the transcript, we know from the video, that she was very, very explicit about providing a much more extensive rationale and reasoning behind her decision than what ended up appearing in the decision. And that's where my client's
I haven't watched
frustration
the
is.
video in a while of the hearing, but I will take your word for it. I do recall that she gave a similarly eloquent verbal description that she did.
It was verbatim, it was
Yeah.
basically the same, she gave the same reasoning.
Yeah.
You could have just
Oh, yeah, no,
copied it.
that I remember.
And why did that not get into?
And the concern is, and I'm not
I
sure
don't
if
know
you,
why that wouldn't have gotten in there.
and I'm not
I mean,
sure
it's
if
a
you
big-
have it, but
it's a big
I
mess.
think we talked about this for a minute outside, but it was literally essentially a single paragraph as opposed to 3 pages.
Three
of
pages.
I mean, it's
decision making.
definitely a briefer explanation than the other one.
Yeah.
And can I just say, and, you know, again, not being a lawyer, but if I read someone's statement that says, based on all of the arguments I have made here today, that tells me I've got to go back into the record to see what are the arguments that the person made here. So whose job is it to go back into the record? Who should have gone back and said, well, what did she say? We got to beef up your response here.
Well, and if I understand Attorney Belcher-Timmy's point from earlier in our discussion, his point is that that doesn't, in this context, that doesn't integrate the language from the hearing itself into the record. And that's the lesson that the town needs to understand here, is that reference doesn't integrate the rationale and the reason behind her decision the way it might in a different procedural context, right? If we were dealing with the Superior Court context where there was a certified record that was submitted.
No certified record, no transcript in either one, it's just the decision that makes it in there. So once I get a signed decision from a planning board, that's the only thing that the plaintiff's gonna attach to their complaint. That's the only part of the planning board proceeding that has any relevance to the judge on review. So it's a very strange, it's unique to basically every other judicial review in the Commonwealth in that way. And so there may be a way in the process of drafting the decision where that could be included. And I don't even want to speak to what that process may have been or how this decision was made. I mean, I can tell you boards all govern themselves in this respect very differently from one another. I chair my planning board in East Hampton. Rather than town council being involved, typically what we do to avoid this kind of thing is after we've drafted a decision, we'll come back to the meeting and vote on it at the meeting. So that gives you a chance. In this case, perhaps Ms. Beatty would have said, I would like more information included, and we could amend it or something to that effect. But, there's different ways around all this, but it's internal governance of the board itself. So I think they're like important things to make sure that board members understand. And I think this was an educational experience for members of the board in this case, but
It was an educational experience for the board. I don't believe it was, because I think the board knows exactly what they're doing. And it's a very detrimental experience for the people that abut this property. That this kind of information that was in the record, that the person stating it was emphatic, that this must get into the decision. And this person was also denied the opportunity the first time by the chair of our planning board to be a part of that decision. So these are not unfortunate circumstances. This is big. In my opinion, this is big. And yeah, am I a butter? I absolutely am. So yes, do I have a stake in this? But I also know people from Ames Road, from Raymond Drive, we have over 500 signatures of people that said this does not belong in this space. Someplace else, yes, but not right here. And there was a lack of respect for the residents of this town. And the way this decision was handed in, our planning board knows exactly what needs to get in, because they did it for one case and they did not do it for another. So I guess what I'm asking you to look into this. What's happening with our planning board? That two decisions like this would come out Now, I'm not saying that the land court wouldn't have still overruled the planning board's decision, but I wanted that person to have the facts, and he didn't have the facts. And that's on our planning board. And I'm not gonna say our planning board didn't know what to do, because they absolutely did know what to do. They did it for one, and they didn't do it for another. And that, as a resident of this town, should not happen in Hampden or any town. That our elected officials are actually against their residents.
Is there training for planning board members? Is there like a?
Yes.
They're offered, the Citizen Planning Training Collaborative offers those. Our office offers trainings. I mean, they're the AG's office will come to that sometimes. There's definitely options for that.
Okay.
And can I also ask, I have read about a motion 60B, that if new evidence comes to light, you can file for relief under federal motion 60B. Pellegrino actually used 60B in one of his appeals. This is new evidence that has come to light. This is facts that the judge did not see. I would like the town to look into motion 60B and see if we can file. We have 1 year to file a motion 60B.
So Rule 60B, and the one that Rafer's office filed was denied by the Superior Court. I don't think this falls under any of that. I don't think it's first of all, it's got to be something that would be newly discovered and relevant evidence. So the fact that the planning board maybe could have written a more thorough decision is not the kind of thing that would rise to that level. So I don't think there's any procedural options left as far as the land court case goes. But
from my perspective, respectfully, I might disagree. I mean, it seems fairly clear to me that there was evidence and a very clear decision and actually a very formal request within the hearing transcript that you have in front of you of the video. And I would encourage you all to read the video and compare it to the decision that actually was written in this case. And there are a number of grounds under Mass Rule Civil Procedure 60B for asking for a judgment to be set aside. The judgment in this case was the one asserting and directing and ordering the planning board to grant the permit. And that was based on, from my perspective, a decision that missed significant, and not from a discretionary standpoint can be viewed as perhaps having missed, respectfully, perhaps having missed reasoning, or perhaps having left stuff out, but actually demonstrably did not include the reasoning from a planning board member for her decision that she specifically requested be included in the decision in a written transcript of those reasons that did not find its way in here. And if that was influenced at some level, there's grounds in 60B for that being addressed. If it was inadvertence that was not included, that's also covered by 60B. So again, with all due respect to Attorney Belcher-Timmy's opinion and advice, and he's town council, and so you have to decide how you weigh that. From my perspective, and again, I'm here because I was called this afternoon in a panic by my client saying, look, we've just discovered that the decision didn't include this information that it demonstrably should have, not because somebody's opinion is, oh, well, we think that they should have been more descriptive. It was actually in the hearing, she saying, these are my reasons, and they were not included. And that's the concern that my clients have, is that reasons were not included, and not because it was just somebody's decision of, oh, or the board's decision of, oh, we're just not going to include that. Who knows what the reason behind it was, but there are some other things that are, again, calling this into question and causing a different additional
One
consternation.
more, Mr. Sibilia.
Yeah, I'm curious about the policy of the select board that will seek advice, in this case, from the council that lost the case on whether there's an appeal or not. It seems counterintuitive that we would ask the council that lost the case, no offense to the present council, but as a matter of protocol for us to seek counsel from someone who lost the case. And now you're asking whether or not the 60B would qualify and raise this up to the standard to appeal it on those grounds from the same council that lost the case in the first place. It just does seem counterintuitive.
And I want to be very clear that I'm in no way critiquing Attorney Beltrami's. I apologize.
No offense, but you interrupted.
Fair enough.
All right, go ahead.
Finished.
Then I want to make another comment.
Of course.
Regarding that this was the word that Seth used was contentious, or another word he used.
Acrimonious.
Huh?
Acrimonious.
Acrimonious, that was one word, there was another word, but that really wasn't the case. The case was that there was an overwhelming opposition to this special permit from the townspeople. It was not, the only acrimony was the malfeasance, in my mind, the malfeasance of the chairman of the planning board.
We have a lot to consider here. The board has a lot to consider. We're not going to make a decision this evening. We're going to consult with our probably an executive session at some point here and make a decision. We appreciate you bringing it to attention.
If I could just make one more point, I want to make it very clear for the record that I am not casting dispersions on
Yes.
Attorney Beltrami's professionalism or his correctness in terms of his perspective on the approach here. I'm just offering a slightly different perspective from clients who are in a slightly different position. So I just want to make sure that that's very clear, because I do respect Attorney Beltrami, and we've all been in a position where somebody, has a different perspective, and we respect that. And that's the only thing I wanted to clarify, so that it was not left unclear that there's no
I don't
suggestion.
think anything you said led us down that path.
I'm an adult, it's okay.
I just want to say again that whoever sent the email to Attorney Pill was inappropriate. And Attorney Pill's writing to a client who has an attorney without writing to the attorney was inappropriate. And I also think it was inappropriate for him to lecture our town attorney on how to practice law when he's done a pretty damn good job of it as best he can. So I want to make that clear. All right, we'll have to think about this. We'll get back to you sometime. All right? Thank you for coming in.
Can I get kind of a sense as to when you might get back? Or will I send an email?
Yeah, send an email, right, yeah, because we'll have to meet again probably in executive session, because then we'll be talking about pending litigation,
Right.
right, potential pending litigation, so.
Can I just add one thing? I don't want you to think that we're on a witch hunt here to find out who didn't perform their job and why maybe this didn't get handed off. But we would like to know why it didn't go forward. And I know that people do clerical jobs, they do all kinds of jobs, but this thing didn't get handed off the correct way, and it was all there. And then later, it comes out that, oh geez,
I understand.
So it just doesn't fly, because there's a rule here, and that 60B rule is for this. And we want you to consider that. And we want you to consider that your town voted to deny this. And now there's a reason to uphold that denial. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for coming in, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Casino mitigation funds.
Mary, one of us, she reached out to me, she reached out to you, Mary, Carol, and then she finally got Brian. Started calling Bob like everybody else does.
I get, what's the criteria for this?
There are 4 categories. So they've changed the grant program now. It's a municipal block grant program.
Yeah.
So we're eligible to receive up to $75,000. categories are community planning, transportation planning, what was the other one? Public safety, gambling harm reduction, and something called other community impacts. Applications are due to the Gaming Commission by January 31st of 2025. So we have until then to formulate projects that we want to submit for. A couple ideas that came to mind when I was sitting in the master plan meeting, there was talk about implementation, and are there things that could be implemented under the community planning part of this, up to 75,000. Currently, we have a small public safety grant that allows 4-hour patrols of the streets. When I last talked with the folks from the Gaming Commission, they were less enthusiastic about transportation projects, because in their opinion, the casinos contribute a very small percentage of the traffic here. If you recall, we submitted a supplemental grant application last year to try to reuse those funds, and they were not very keen on that, so.
Wouldn't traffic be more impactful to a community versus other things that's around that grant? For like community planning or stuff like that? Like, they're gonna give us money for community planning, but they won't help us mitigate traffic concerns. How does?
Correct.
The casino, I guess I fail to see the connection.
When we initially did the thing, and we went down and presented in front of the casino, the gambling board, if you will, we had data at that point showing, okay, this percentage of traffic would come through Ludlow. And they were looking at the adjacent towns like spokes on a wheel, if you will. And we showed data that I think came from them, of the traffic corridor coming from Summers from Connecticut, and then the Munson traffic coming through Glendale, down Main,
Yeah.
all the way feeding Allen Street, which goes to the heart of Springfield. How they can say that traffic now isn't part of the impact, I don't understand.
But community
When it was
planning.
part of that hearing we had back in, I'm gonna say it was 14, maybe 15 at that point.
Do you recall what percentage of traffic town-wide would constitute? Because that's essentially what they were
Is it the
saying.
percentage of traffic of town-wide or percentage of traffic that goes to the casino?
No, percentage of traffic that drives on that road is what they told me. So they're like, well, you have this bridge, so, casino traffic's maybe 8% of that, so we'll pay 8% of your bridge costs.
Now, see, that wasn't the focus there. They were looking at, okay, if you take the 100% of traffic that comes to the casino, what percentage of that is going through Hampden? Not so much what percentage of Hampden traffic is casino traffic.
Right. They were looking
So
at
they
that.
changed their definition, if they will.
Yes.
If that's true, yes, then they did. In terms of community planning, their idea is that the casino, the casino is drawing, so they look at it from an economic development standpoint, that the casino is drawing people out of Hampden businesses, Hampden restaurants, those types of things, that people are attracted to the casino and who otherwise would have spent money at the Hampden restaurants or Hampden shops, and instead they're spending money at the casinos.
So we need a
instead.
casino in Hampden then.
So, well,
That's the answer. That's the answer.
but I think that's the
Got that
focus.
Indian land, I think we can look into, yeah.
That's the focus, that's the rationale for community planning, is that they're
Okay.
trying to remedy those impacts.
We might be able to do something around that,
Yeah.
right?
The parks or the hiking trails,
Yeah.
you were saying?
Yeah.
Well, I would think either hiking, or there was talk about further planning studies in, different areas of town.
Could we use it to help with the land trust acquisition of that North Road property, where they want to develop that a little bit for parking? Because that's community planning, right?
The money is pretty well set from CPA at this point, I
Yeah.
think.
But to that point, I think you could, if there were
Or something similar?
upgrades, if there were things that we could contribute to that parking area, maybe it's sign, they talk about wayfinding signs, they talk about maybe there's kiosks or things like that, maybe there's other parking areas, maybe we look at Cumberland Farms and see what we can do with that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Therefore, we have two traffic concerns in town. We have the intersection at the flagpole, and to me, the bigger problem is the intersection at the gas station.
That's
You
tough
know,
too.
I think that's a worse intersection than the other one, because turning left there, it's a nightmare. Can we use that money for a study of solutions for that? Bob investigated the one at the flagpole,
Right.
but he never really looked at the other one for a solution.
Our proposal, our last proposal, our re-proposal to them was to pay for a traffic study and design. It included both those intersections, because they really are connected from a traffic standpoint. And they said no.
And that Connecticut traffic that shoots through there, like you say, it's both, yeah.
So we don't need to make decisions tonight, but it's out
Okay, when is it gonna be then?
January 31st.
Okay,
All right.
And there's a webinar tomorrow, actually, that I'm gonna
okay, all right, good.
talk about.
Cannon, the cannon.
Right at the intersection, put it right at the intersection.
So you'll recall that we received an email a long time ago about a cannon that was thought to be from the town of Hampden. And Don went up and visited it and thought that it would be a good idea to bring it back to town. Well, the board did, I shouldn't just depending on one member, everybody decided to bring it back to town. There was an effort to try to find the rightful owner of the cannon. And there's also research that was sent to us from folks from West Windsor, Vermont, that detailed what they thought was the origins of the cannon and when it was manufactured and whether it had any direct historical relevance to the town. And as it turns out, it was I think late 1600s, 1700s, I think, right? Cannon, Swedish cannon, commercially available in the sense that they actually had commercially available cannons. So it seems like it's not something that was organically from Hampden. It was brought to our attention that there was residents in town that were missing a cannon. And I talked with Don and Chief Trombley to see if we could reach out to find, the rightful owner of the cannon. And we wrote a letter and they responded thinking that this was indeed the cannon. They could describe it to the extent that they could in the circumstances surrounding what we know of how the cannon was obtained matched what, this individual was saying. So I think it's more likely than not that is the cannon that was taken from that property. So I'm fairly confident that if the board wanted to vote to return it, I think it's still.
I make that motion to return the cannon to, I believe, Mr. Canode.
Sorry, I'm still reading his letter.
Well, with no ammunition, because we don't want them.
Yeah, no cannon.
You're blocking it.
Yeah, second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of returning the cannon?
Too much time already.
Aye.
Give it a trip down.
All right, return the cannon. Generator,
It's the case on for free because we didn't make it.
no, the case, we didn't make the case on.
So we get
Take it
to-
all.
He gets the case on.
You want to fire it once?
I mean, he must take
I
delivery.
can't believe the guy was shooting that. I took a look at it, I thought,
I think it rusty.
oh, yeah,
Hope he was standing his distance.
maybe he was just getting some firecrackers and put it in there, Tom Riggs. Generator contract,
This is awesome.
That's good.
Yeah. We received bids end of last week, and the low bidder is K Sacco Electric Incorporated, 356 South Road, Hampden, in the amount of $20,485. There was a discrepancy in the bid where the written amount didn't match the numerical amount, but it's been confirmed with the bidder that was the amount that they had intended, and the bid documents also say that the written amount controls over the numerical amount. So I would recommend that the board vote to award the contract.
Less than 50 ton.
Yeah.
Now, we have costs,
figure.
we have other costs, material costs and things like that
What?
we'll have, but
Well, we're gonna dig the trench, right?
conduit. So those labor costs will be absorbed by the highway.
Highway department.
Yeah. And then obviously material costs will factor into this as well.
I can't believe it. I'll be able to sleep knowing that the generator is gonna be installed. Yes, sir.
Do you have the other two, you said 3 bids were submitted?
We got five bids, six.
Six
What was
bids.
the high, if I just,
The high was 67,750.
so higher than the 50 that we,
Yeah.
okay.
They range,
That was the only one over the 50 though, so.
they range from 20,000,
But
24,
I think you made the
41,
good,
33,
but you
67.
make a point that the extra money you're gonna need for pipe, crack, stuff like that, so.
Yeah.
The other bids weren't bad either, 24,600,
No,
20,
yeah.
23,900, 20,000 were
Okay.
Somebody will
So,
buy that.
majority
pretty
is low.
close, yeah.
I mean, the sand place probably doesn't need the work.
No, it probably doesn't. He said, I'll try it,
yeah.
I'll get it. Okay, do we have a motion?
Motion to award the bid to K Sacco in the amount of $20,485.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, and one day food permit, one day.
Lives in town, can we do that as tax write-off instead?
One of the 14?
Yeah,
20,000 of it.
All right, food permits.
Don, your favorite. So that event that's happening up at Great Horse, again, there are 2 more.
Oh,
We have a charcuterie place, charcuterie, Fed by Folly.
where'd they come up with these?
It's Roger Federer's company, and Patty Cakes Cupcakes. Again, no samples, I'm sorry. Any other looking for, we're looking for approval for the event that's happening, I believe it's Babes for a Cause, again, up at Great Horse on November 30th.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Are we French?
okay, now we have,
Quick.
Are we last minute?
ooh,
Yeah.
that's gonna have an accent.
Très bon.
All right, what else we got?
This is on everyone.
All right,
Yeah.
Greg, you, no.
This problem with Word, Word doesn't spell check all caps.
No. Okay. I signed that one already, amazingly enough.
Yeah, I don't know why you didn't like the other one.
Yearly permits,
You got some later ones?
oh, did I have those? I have that. Oh, yeah. Okay, we have the 2025 liquor licenses. A review of the liquor license holders has been conducted by the Hampden Police Department. The 304C inspections have also been done with no issues, building and fire. And so the motion is gonna be,
Mr. Chair.
yes? Yeah.
Yes, Mr. Flynn.
Oh, yes, Mr. Flynn.
Thank you for acknowledgement.
I acknowledge Selectman Flynn for 30 seconds.
I'm sorry, you acknowledge who?
Select Board Member Flynn
Thank you.
for 30 seconds.
I move that the liquor license for 2025 be approved as presented for the following locations, contingent upon all necessary approvals having been granted. La Cucina de Hampden House, Mountain View Drive-In, Hampden Discount Liquors, Hampden Grog Shop, Great Horse, Gio's Pizzeria, La Casa Bell, 5 Allen Street Corp., AKA The Black Sheep, Village Food Mart, also known as The Good People, and the VFW.
So
I
moved.
would like a second from
Second.
Select Board Member Rivas.
Rivas.
Select Board Member.
Second.
Thank you for your second. I return the motion to the chair.
Okay, your time is up. Any further discussion?
Yeah.
Yeah, what?
I don't know. I just wanted to prolong it like you guys were doing.
All in favor?
Aye.
Calling for the vote?
Yes, I'm calling for the vote.
I respond yea.
Yay,
Yay.
yay, okay, fine. All right, what else we got on here?
So we're gonna see, so the only thing we have left then is entertainment, right?
And used car,
What?
And use
cars.
Okay, let's work backwards here on this one. Department head meetings. We're gonna do those, that's the State of the Union, State of the
What do you
Onion.
want, what's your ballpark, the 8th or the 9th?
We got 9th. Second, we got the hearing 9th.
Yeah.
And then you got Christmas, 9, 16, 23. We don't wanna do a Christmas week.
Okay, 9, I like 9 because any boards that are gonna meet in December, they'll be able to give that information to their board.
Okay.
You know, some only meet once a month.
Okay. All right.
What about your speech from last year?
Are we going to have them all come in at one day?
Yeah, that's the big circle thing we go
Oh,
around.
yeah, okay. All right, 9th for them. How about the town report? When are we gonna get that done? When's that gonna be due? No fooling around.
What did we do last year? The end of February, I think? I'd have to check.
I think we were closing out on March, wasn't it?
Well, everybody ignored it.
Yeah.
Everybody
Usually
ignores
tell
the
them
deadline,
earlier,
so.
So then we hopefully get it.
You know what?
End of January, I mean, there's no reason that should be.
Yeah, it takes a.
They have their first
For the
meeting,
prior year.
their meeting in
Fiscal year,
January
right.
to review the report and turn it in.
Yeah, I'd say give them February 1st, so that they close the books.
End of
and-
January, yeah.
Oh, you said I think.
End of January.
Sorry, I misunderstood.
So they have their meeting in January, they review the report that the clerk wrote or whatever.
Yeah.
You're gonna get 80% of them right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
And the ones you won't get will be Cliff's, the school department, and stuff like, the big ones.
That's actually good.
Selectmen,
Ooh,
select board, Jesus.
yeah, how are you gonna title that this year?
We'll title it Selectmen Board.
Chairman,
Member.
Board of Selectmen.
you're chairman, so chairman.
No, he's chairperson.
Chairperson.
But I would see in other towns, they go by select board, but the individual members are select women, select men.
Yeah,
Right,
they
but the
do.
Yeah.
motion changed that too, yeah.
All right,
Making those changes anyways.
All right,
yeah, and we want to talk about setting dates for the select board meetings. I don't know, I'm interested in going every other week, but
We did make that motion back at the beginning of the fall, that after fall town meeting, that we would adopt the every other week schedule.
no, no. We would discuss it after we would discuss it after the fall town meeting.
the problem we're having here is that I think we got this whole building issue that we gotta,
We're gonna be on top. We can't keep kicking stuff down the road, yeah. I'm fine with the other thing we've done in the past, Craig, or Select Board Member Craig, that we schedule them, and if the chair determines, we have 2 things on, let's kick those next week and just,
Yeah, I still think it's important, Brian and Lauren have a lot on their plate. There's a lot going on where I think giving them that guaranteed week off to finalize things, look through the agenda, schedule appointments, schedule people in, and then we have everything squared away, not just rushing around either on a Monday for a Monday meeting or a Thursday for a Monday meeting, which you may not get all the answers for. I think there's a lot going on there.
what do you guys feel about it? Be honest.
they want to go to a 5-day week, that's what they're
I
saying.
prefer bi-weekly, personally. I'm getting behind on minutes, there's a lot going on right now. Town meeting pushed back, that didn't help.
I don't know.
That's honest, that,
There's pluses and minuses to it. There's a certain amount of time that we both put in getting ready for meetings. And really, what that amount of time, it doesn't change very much based on how much content is in each meeting, because we still have to go through that process. Lauren still has to do the minutes, still get them set up. So there's a certain amount of time that takes up out of our week. On the other hand, there's a lot going on. There's a lot that's gonna happen this upcoming couple weeks, right? We're gonna have to have some executive sessions to deal with some issues. And those aren't necessarily gonna be part of a regular meeting. It's something that we would want separate and apart from a regular meeting, because it might take some time. I think overall, I would probably favor every other week, with the caveat that it's probably gonna be not every other week, because these issues are coming up fast. And there are meetings, we're talking about buildings and capital plan, capital projects, things like that. But that's something that's separate and apart from a regular meeting where we transact the business. So I could argue both ways.
Yeah, I think it'd be easier, I mean, Brian, you're a TA, not a TM, and that's kind of the difference. If you were a TM, you'd be making all the calls on your own anyhow. So that would make more sense for every other, but I like to be involved. I like the every week thing, especially as Don said, sorry, select board member. We have so much on our plate going forward, we got to get on top of this building usage and stuff like that.
So we have meetings already for 2 and 9, right? Because we got to do, what?
And the 5th.
And you haven't set a date for the general discussion on buildings either.
It's 5th.
I'm sorry?
5th.
I thought I saw responses that wasn't good for some people. Okay.
We're going to keep it the 5th. And then we're going to have an executive session
Right, so,
at some point.
yeah, so when we stack these meetings
Once a week.
with the regular meetings, then it's becoming a lot.
Yeah.
Especially if it warrants extra sets of minutes and stuff like that, so it's,
Well, then we'll take a big, so we got two and 9, right?
Yep.
And then we got the 5th, and we've got something, was it 7-day notice for that other
What
thing?
the other thing said, the last thing we had, yeah, it was in the labor agreement or something like that.
7-day notice on the other thing.
yeah, I've inquired of our labor council.
It is 7-day.
I was referred to, I asked town council, I was referred to labor
So
council.
let's
That was
do
the- you'll
2 and
find
9, let's, how's the 23rd? That's 2 days before Christmas, is that good or bad? You know, skip the 16th and see what happens, do the 23rd.
Then you have,
And skip the 30th,
Yeah, skip the 30th.
and skip the, and keep the 23rd, so we're not off a lot. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
all right.
Craig, you traveling or anything, or
yeah, I'm gone the 2nd.
the second?
December 2nd?
Oh, the regular meeting on second, you mean?
Yep. I will not be here.
What do we have on that
Tax
thing?
classification.
Oh, it's the tax classification
Yeah.
thing. That's the tax classification thing. Well, just raise your taxes while you're gone.
Wait,
Be the first time.
It's done by road, I disagree with that.
Is that nice view?
I need you here, Craig.
No, just
I
that,
need you here, Craig.
no, just that section.
Oh, I don't think so. I think we're talking the west part of town this time.
All right,
So what are
All
the,
right, so right now we're looking at 2, 9, and 23.
yeah.
Okay. And then the special ones as needed.
They are what they are.
Fifth.
5 and then the
fifth is
7 day, yeah, they are what they are.
There's the 7th?
Now, the 5th you said is going to be the general discussion of
Right.
buildings.
Is that,
Thursday.
oh,
That's gonna be during the day, though.
No.
You're not available on Thursday, though, right?
No,
After 1?
what? Not in the afternoons.
So we could do like 10 to 12, right?
So we said 10 to 12.
Yeah, 10 to 12, and that'll give you, right? You're
Yep.
good after that?
And it depends on which day it is.
If it's Thursday,
Thursday? Yeah.
all right.
Okay. So it's the 5th, not at 10?
Yeah,
What, that's the
building,
the round table.
the round table type of thing, just to get the discussion going, what we're gonna do with these things.
Well, it doesn't come up anymore, and now I gotta type select board, the first time it doesn't recognize it.
Oh, town administrators report, selectmen reports?
I think we covered it.
Well, you have something to report.
Yeah, the Assistant Superintendent Search Committee met last week while I wasn't here, so that was the reason why I was absent.
Yeah.
We selected 2 out of 7 candidates to present to the school committee for nominations. One of them withdrew his nomination the day before, and the number 1 choice that we had was interviewed and offered a position, and I believe they came to terms with him last week.
Oh, cool.
I watched it online, looked like good candidate.
Yeah, he had a lot of great experience, a lot of good financial stuff, and he said a lot of good things.
Town administrators report?
All right, I'll bring the bad news then.
Okay.
So Mark and I went to a training last week on what's called the CARB Act, which is really 2 different regulations, state regulations. One is the ACT, which is Advanced Clean Truck regulations, and the other one is Heavy Duty Omnibus regulations. The HDO portion of that limits it essentially regulates tailpipe emissions from diesel vehicles. And according to one of the dealers who spoke at the training, only 1 engine that is currently in production can meet that, and it has very limited availability in Massachusetts. DEP has delayed those regulations for model year 25 vehicles. But
Thanks.
as of today, it's still in play for model year 26.
So does that limit us from purchasing within the state or purchasing for the town in general? Like, can we purchase from out of state?
No, because
Why?
they'll catch us at registration. That question was.
So no vehicles can be registered in the state of Massachusetts?
That is not, so where it's gonna be figured out is, you know how it'll essentially have a sticker.
Yeah.
It'll come with a sticker that'll say HDO, it'll say HDO, whatever, California compliant, because Mass adopted California standards, 1996.
CARB standards, yeah.
So that's where it would be caught most likely.
But my question is, down the road, when these go into effect, the state of Massachusetts will not register any vehicles that don't meet these standards if they're bought out of state.
That's my understanding, yeah.
I guess we'll be registering all our vehicles in Connecticut.
We're on the border, which is good.
So we could garage them somewhere else.
Let's garage it somewhere else. I mean, can we just tell them no? We're just not following suit and see how many other towns and municipalities follow suit?
You could, see what happens.
I think we should just take a stand and see if anybody backs us. Because it's just ridiculous to come up with these standards. And then we have new vehicles we're gonna buy that we're spending good money on. And now we're gonna have to adopt all these things that, well, you can't get the engine in Massachusetts. So they're gonna force us to go electric. And at that point, those costs are gonna be astronomical. Then the longevity, the lifespan, they're not even proven yet.
And my next question is, are they forcing you to turn over your fleet, or we have trucks that are good for 20 years, some we just bought? We can't register them, or this goes into effect with any new vehicle bought after?
Model year vehicles,
Model year
based on the model year.
So quickly, we buy a couple of 2021s and put them in stock.
Hanging over our heads are, I don't remember the exact title of it, but something about clean fleet requirements, which they're not implementing, but it would affect existing vehicles.
It would.
Yeah, but that's not in play currently. The other thing is called the Advanced Clean Trucks regulation. That's a requirement on dealers that they sell a certain percentage, an increasing percentage each year of zero emission vehicles compared to essentially.
Those are all the ones that are currently sitting on dealer showrooms that nobody's buying.
So essentially this requires for every whatever it is, for every 1 diesel vehicle that a dealer sells, they need to sell.
Right.
I think, what were the first percentages? I think 7%. They're gonna start 7%. It depends on certain class of vehicle, but I think the first year is 7%. They need to sell 7% of all of their annual sales need to be 7%. 7% needs to be zero emission vehicles.
That's a big number.
And the issue is, these are not widely available. One of the dealers, I think, was from, I don't remember what he was from, Western Stars, I don't remember what brand it was from, but he said they have, the only commercially available vehicle they have is a box truck, essentially. They have no electric engines that have PTOs.
The other thing is too, a lot of these dealers, I mean, just to add on to the fire, there's so many recalls on electric batteries in these vehicles right now. For Ford, for instance, has tons of recalls and replacements.
Yeah.
And, you know, the other thing is, where are we getting the energy from to power these electric vehicles? The grid. You know, we know where our grid is, it's mostly natural gas. So, we're.
Seriously, how good's the charge? We plow half a road, stop and charge for 6 hours? Like, you know.
Right, you can't fight a storm with, you know, the fleet we have for a small town, worrying about, oh, hey, you know, we have a long, you know, nor'easter coming, we need to go out there 3, 4, 5, 6 times. You know,
So,
anyway.
so for the advanced clean trucks portion of this, Mass DEP has said that they are gonna exercise their enforcement discretion, which, as we know, is as good as the next administration that comes in, right? For model year 25 and 26 vehicles for snow plowing.
They're gonna enforce it?
They're not gonna enforce it.
They're not gonna enforce it. So for 2 years.
But how that exemption works, there's no process. So at this point, the dealers they're not gonna do it. And then the other part of this is, okay, that's great, there's exemption from municipalities, but there's a big concern about private contractors who need to upgrade their fleets. And instead of us paying, I don't know, how much, $100 a mile to pave a road, now it's gonna be 4 times that amount because they've had to upgrade all their trucks. So long story short, or long story long, it's a mess.
We just need to start keeping the VIN numbers off our old trucks.
Exactly.
And
Well, the trucks are in good shape.
change out the
Keep
bodies.
replacing the bodies.
Change out the bodies, yeah.
Yeah, right.
So just a couple other quick things. South Road Bridge, VHB is the bridge designer that MassDOT has hired. They're going to file an NOI in early December for those bridge repairs on South Road. Water district expansion, we had a pre-bid meeting today. Sub bids are due on December 4th, with general contractor bids due the 12th. One of the things that the water commissioners need, that they need to do next, is to figure out how many of those initial 19 customers are willing and ready to hook up, because that's going to impact what the cost of the total.
How many are hooked up now?
Just a handful.
Currently?
Yeah.
12?
Currently like a dozen.
Yeah.
14?
Someone asked me today, I said, that's what I thought,
I thought it
12.
was 10, plus we just
12
added
or
the guy.
14.
I had it written down.
We added
I keep forgetting.
that person at the end with the, you know.
Yeah, they had the 7 locations just on this extension here.
Oh, right, you're counting the town, all these.
Yeah, I'm counting everything.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
talking about the landfill people, I think it's 7 or 8.
Oh, down there, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7.
We have the MRF contract extension that I think that the board should consider, probably at the next meeting.
Right.
That's another, I think is another 5-year extension. That the existing one expires at the end of June, so they're asking for extensions to be signed by the 31st.
You and I went out to the EV thing. You and I at the EV station.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we went out, watched the tree get taken down. Other than that, we ordered some signs to hopefully attract people to use the chargers. The information is being pushed out to all the major apps to list the station.
Do we have the account set up?
Yep. And then we need to do some striping on the parking lot to maintain, to provide for accessibility. So Mark is going to lay that out and do some striping, so.
They're doing the pad over here too, right? For the crosswalk?
Oh, yep, yeah. They're also finishing up the accessibility things for that crosswalk. Yeah,
All right,
about it.
anything else? Lauren, you
Hang
got?
on. Oh, board select, board thing.
Yes.
You guys talked about this earlier, but I wanted to say, as a resident, that the board and your team did a nice job on the town meeting. I was at the meeting downstairs in the Melville when you identified lights in the parking lot, the visuals in both rooms, the sound, and it seems like it all went off without a hitch.
Yeah, that was really good.
Rick does a real good job. There was a couple spots where that could have got you know, off on a tangent. The only thing I would say is when you go up and talk, you know, your back was to the group. If you were off to the side, if you guys are on the stage and maybe you have the speaker here, you're kind of, you can still talk to you guys, but you're facing the crowd, maybe.
Off to the angle.
I mean, technically, you're supposed to always speak to the moderator, so that's, you know,
Well,
but you're right, you could almost do a sideways thing, Mr. Moderator, and still get
Right, that way your
FaceTime.
back isn't to the group.
Right.
That's a minor complaint. The rest of it went off well with as many people and as many issues there were.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else to come before the board?
The board. Select board?
Okay.
The common board.
And I'd like the board to entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll
Is there
second
a
for discussion.
Any discussion?
I have no discussion.
I'm disgusted.
Of course you are.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Do you see the picture I pulled up halfway through the meeting?